Welcome all to the second session of the webinar series on agri-tech startups brought to you by the 2030 Water Resources Group. For those of our participants who are joining us for
Now we've lost you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can, Meghna. Please start over.
Sorry about the technical difficulties. Welcome again to the second webinar in our series of webinars related to agri-tech.
Meghna, we are not able to hear you. Meghna, we can't hear you.
Hello, is this better?
Yes.
Yes, can hear you. Can hear you, Meghna.
Okay, great. I'm very sorry about the technical difficulties. I'm hoping we won't have any of this going forward.
No, not able to hear you.
Kavita, can I please request you to come in?
Yeah, sure. Murthy, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So sorry about that technical glitch, and I'm hoping that we can get Meghna back once her internet is up and running. I think we're all facing these challenges every once in a while, so we all but apologies on behalf of all of us. So good evening and good morning and good good afternoon and hello to all our partners from the government of Maharashtra, senior IS officers from the state and other states I believe are also on the call. Some of our private sector and civil society partners, our associates from the banking and financial services community, friends and colleagues from 2030 WRG across the globe, World Bank, and everyone else on the call. And for those of you joining us again for the second session, thank you for your continued participation and for joining us this evening. We hope that you and your family is well and safe and navigating these challenging times and adjusting to the new normal in our lives. I think we've all moved to the virtual mode of communication, and while it has its challenges like we all faced, I feel grateful that it is what is keeping us together and allowing us to communicate and to continue our work and purpose. I think we all know that unprecedented challenges of lack of labor and collapse in logistics due to COVID-19 induced lockdown has resulted in enormous supply chain breakdowns, raising concerns around security. We understand from many sources that the loss to the sector so far in many states in India, including Maharashtra, has been colossal, is growing, and challenges are likely to be long drawn. And I think, again, we understand that reverse migration is expected to create further hardship for smallholder farmers, with remittances drying up and livelihood of more and more farmers depending on the same farmland. The much awaited stimulus package for agriculture announced by the government of India as part of the Atmanirbhar Bharat through 8 measures is well thought out and puts a spotlight on much needed medium to long-term critical infrastructure gaps. The reforms through amendment of the Essential Commodities Act and the development of state-level markets by abolishing the Model APMC Act are expected to increase the bargaining power of the farmers and will create impact in the medium to long term. However, I think we all agree that the crisis situation being faced by farmers due to unsold or wasted produce still needs to be addressed, and this could come through increasing liquidity in the sector through direct cash transfers and compensation for crop losses, and bringing in innovations which can create resilience in the long term. If adequate action is not taken, we believe that the agri-water economic productivity in the rural sector would be a threat to the state or national GDP, water balance, and associated climate resilience, putting livelihoods of millions of farmers at stake. This necessitates the government, the private sector, and civil society to come together on different legs of the value chain more than ever before to ensure food security. And an integral part of the agri-value chain and the multi-stakeholder group are agri-tech and water tech startups. A vibrant agri-tech and fintech ecosystem already exists in India, as we all are all aware, with several startups already offering innovative solutions at various legs of the value chain. India is home to close to 500 agri-tech startups, growing at a rate of 25% annually, and have received more than 250 million US in funding, according to a NASSCOM report. These startups offer innovative solutions both and at the post-harvest level, and cross-cutting themes including logistics and financing. Our endeavor at 2030 WRG is to bring to the fore some of the work these amazing startups are doing in India and Maharashtra, and that hopefully some of their solutions can address the challenges our farmers, our FPOs, the private sector, and state governments are grappling with. The reason we thought of doing this, like I said, even in our first webinar, and this is for some of you who've joined us for the first time, for the first time, yes, is that we believe that there is perhaps an information asymmetry between the many startups that are coming up and the solutions they are offering, and perhaps also a lack of clarity on which leg of the agri-value chain they fit in and what is it that they have to offer and potential users of their services and products. From the perspective of the startups, some struggle with getting through to the right partners to scale their solutions, which often inhibits growth. So we thought that we could leverage our USP to convene multi-stakeholder meetings, bringing in some of these relevant startups into helping our MSP partners address some of the challenges which were discussed during our convening with the government of Maharashtra in the end of April. We do hope you find this a useful and relevant initiative. And we thank you for joining us and encourage your participation. I am Kavita Sachwani. I lead the Maharashtra program for the 2030 Water Resources Group of the World Bank. I welcome you to our second session, which we are co-convening again with Unlimited India, a social sector startup doing some interesting and meaningful work with 250 plus social sector startups. We have with us today on call Anshu Bhartia, who's the CEO of Unlimited India, who introduced us to these amazing startups and some of the work that they're doing. Anshu has been working seamlessly in non-profit and for-profit global organizations for over 2 decades and has been providing strategic advisory guidance to promoters of social enterprises. Prior to Unlimited India, she was the CEO of Revitalizing Rain-Fed Agriculture Network and Friends of WW. Welcome Anshu and her team from Unlimited India, who's helped us put this together, and also welcome the 3 founders, the founders of these 3 startups, 3 amazing ladies. It's not a coincidence that they're all 3 power women. Welcome to you, Renuka, Rajul, and Sai from Bioprime, Soil Sense, and Bharat Agri, who we are featuring on our second session today. I'm not sure if Meghna is back on call, but in the meanwhile, Anshu, may I request you to say a few words about Unlimited India, the startups you are incubating, and your thoughts about this initiative. Over to you, Anshu.
Thanks, Kavita. So I really want to appreciate, Kavita, you and the WRG Team 2030 for giving us this opportunity. And in this environment, when all of us, I think, are managing and working on life-work balance, to putting this together, because I personally also know the kind of time and investment this takes. So thank you once again. So just quickly on Unlimited India, we've been incubating social entrepreneurs who've identified a societal problem they want to solve. It could be education, environment, agriculture, health, livelihoods, you name it, we are there. Any problem that bothers you, we would probably have an entrepreneur who's pretty much solving it, either in a for-profit or a not-for-profit mode. We are fairly agnostic as far as it has meaningful impact on the underprivileged, the marginalized, the vulnerable. Our USP has been that we've been one of the few incubators who step in when you have an idea and are piloting it. In fact, Rajul, I think, Rajul is presenting today, and she's part of the research team at IIT, and she came when they just developed the product. They were piloting, experimenting with the product. They came to us, we loved it, we thought it was relevant, we supported Rajul. And we have many such instances of people who otherwise did not have any doors open to them because they were too early stage, but we would welcome them. 3 of our 254 entrepreneurs are presenting today, like Kavita just shared with you, the 3 names, and 2 presented in the first round, which was, I think, about 2 weeks back. To us, I think what's been critical is the presenters today are founders who come with a passion to solve the value chain in agriculture and are critical for farming incomes to improve. Like, that's their whole theory of change, that the small and marginal farmers have access to either information or products and solutions, which will significantly make a difference to what is already becoming a fairly much discussed non-remunerative profession. And people are going away. Can we do anything that will allow them to stay and make good of their hard work? And so all 3 of them are at various stages. Rajul's soil sense is at the product works, it needs to grow. Bioprime has taken the product to scale, and so has Lean Agri. And like Kavita mentioned, 3 extremely powerful women, and in agriculture that too. So I think you'd love hearing from them today. So I just want to thank once again everybody on the phone, the government of Maharashtra, multi-stakeholder partners of WRG, the private sector, foundations, civil society organizations, and the global team of 2030 WRG. I think platforms like these, Kavita, and thanks to you and the team for putting this together, are much required. I think they give a chance to innovators and entrepreneurs that we incubate who otherwise may not have access to showcase and build partnerships for scaling their products and services. They stay small, they grow organically. Some, if they are able to crack the marketing setup, do grow very big, but a lot of them don't get this kind of an opportunity. So thank you once again. And of course, as we know, if, like you also mentioned very well, that if they get access to such networks, the farmers would benefit a lot more because they have no way of knowing these solutions exist. And they continue to then operate in their suboptimal value chains. So this is very useful. For Unlimited India, this is the beginning of the partnership with WRG on engaging meaningfully on agriculture in the now. We will move on to water management and farm-linked income solutions in line with the WRG 2030 mission as and when things become a little more viable and things open up. So while we are working with WRG 2030, I think I'm also really excited, and my colleague Nitya is on the phone with me. We were discussing this earlier. We are super excited and looking forward to opportunities this forum opens up for us across the country and the globe. We are excited to work with some of you, the institutions, people present as an audience. We want to be able to help take up these social entrepreneurs. We want to take them to scale. We want to be able to open doors with all of you. So if any of you want to know more about us, please reach out to us through Kavita or through Meghna. Our email IDs will be accessible. I'll be very happy to have a conversation with all of you to see how we could partner, how we could. So WRG will open up the world for our agri entrepreneurs, but we work beyond that as well. So would be very, very happy to talk to you offline. With that, I'm excited about this session. I'm absolutely excited that our three power women are presenting to you. So Meghna, over to you. Or Meghna, if you're not audible still, then Kavita, over to you.
Great, thanks, Anshu. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yes, Meghna. Yeah.
Great. So yeah, sorry about the technical. Thank you so much, Kavita and Anshu. So we'll move to the presentations now. Just a couple of housekeeping rules. Request everyone to keep your mic on mute when you're not speaking. There will be time for questions. So request you all to put your questions in the chat box and address it to all the panelists. So once the entrepreneurs finish making their presentations, we will be addressing the questions. Over to you, Nitya. I request you to please come in and introduce the first time. Nitya?
Sorry. Thanks, Meghna. Good evening, everyone. All of these three exciting startups are leveraging some serious technology to build farmer-centric products and services. Our first presenter is Dr. Renuka Dewan. She is the founder of Bioprime Agri Solutions. Bioprime's Sniper is a patented agri-technology platform which makes affordable products for farmers that helps them fight climate change and different stress conditions. Dr. Renuka has done her PhD in plant sciences and her postdoc is in genetic engineering. For the last 13 years, she has worked extensively on bioactives and has also over 15 years of experience in plant tissue culture. She's filed a patent and has also published 12 research papers. So over to Dr. Renuka for the first presentation.
Hello, hi guys, can you hear me? And can you see my screen?
Yes, Dr. Renuka.
All right, I'm sorry, I think that's right. Okay, thank you everybody. And I'm really happy to be here and presenting at this platform. I'm really thankful for Unlimited and WRG as well. Here's, I'll just begin the presentation. I hope everybody's fine today. I hope you are keeping well in this situation. And it's such a great time to be protective about ourselves and boosting our immunity. Wait, did you think I was having a small talk with you guys? What if I told you that this was not a small talk, but this was plants communicating with each other? Yes, plants can talk, and they can do so via small and specific biomolecules. It is like a language for them. At BioPrime, we are leveraging this language to develop biologicals. Hi, I'm Dr. Renuka. I'm the CEO of BioPrime Agri Solutions, and me with my partners, Dr. Amit Shinde and Dr. Shekhar Bhosle, we founded BioPrime, and we are using our extensive research of over 15 years in plant physiology, plant molecular biology, and plant bioactives to develop the next generation of biologicals. This work has been supported and funded by BIRAC, Department of Biotechnology, and Niti Aayog. We are incubated in Venture Center, which is NCL's biotech business incubator. And in the commercialization or scaling of this, we are helped by Unlimited and REACH, Government of Telangana. So before I begin and tell you about our technology or what we do, I'll just take a minute to tell you about the processes in the plants. So as we know, plants use sunlight and water, and they take up nutrients from the soil and make their food. These nutrients are essentially fertilizers that we give to the plant. This food is then used by the plant for all its processes, whether it is growth, whether it is reproduction, that is flowering or fruiting, or even for defense. And these processes can be accelerated or enhanced by addition of enzymes, hormones, or plant growth regulators or PGRs. And so we have growth of the plant. But what happens when these plants face extreme climatic change or fluctuating hardships of the environment? The very processes that the plant uses to make the food or to utilize the food cannot function. They're functioning at a suboptimal level, sometimes at even 40%. What that means is, if, for example, there's a tomato plant and has an inherent potential of giving 10 tomatoes, now it is able to give you only 5, which is the yield gap that the farmer is realizing in his field today. Now, you may also realize that no amount of extra fertilizers, enzymes, hormones, or PGRs that we add to the soil can help the plant overcome these changes or help the plant work at its optimum conditions. So we have to have some kind of mechanism which enables the plant to adapt to these changes and give us the yields that we deserve. This is done by the metabolites or the small signaling molecules that I spoke earlier. Plants naturally produce these biomolecules to protect themselves. We at BioPrime are identifying, curating, and putting them together in form of solutions which can be given to the plants so that we can get assured yields for the farmers on their field. Since these biomolecules are organic in nature, they are completely residue-free and they're certified organic. The process of development of these biomolecules uses a platform called Sniper, which is patented, which helps us develop more and more biomolecules at lesser cost and at a faster go-to-market speed. Since these biomolecules are a part of the plant communication process, they're extremely targeted and extremely rapid acting, which means that the farmer is able to realize the difference in his field much faster. Since they also work on the basic framework of plant pathways, they're completely crop agnostic, which means that they work alike on whether it's a wheat plant, whether it's an orchard, whether it's an exotic, or whether it's our herbs or spices. But what does all that mean to the farmer on his field? For the farmer, it means assured better yield, which is not just more in terms of quantity, but also in quality. Uniform production gives him better prices at the market. These biomolecules can be adopted into granular form. That means they can coated on granules. They can be given as foliar applications. They can be given through drip, or they can be made into ultra low volume formulations for drone-based application. Which means that any farmer, whether he is a marginal farmer having a very small piece of land doing traditional methods of agriculture, or whether he is a greenhouse grower having modern technology, or whether he's a corporate, can adopt these formulations on as is, where is basis, irrespective of the farmland size. And since they are crop agnostic, they can be applied to any crop, whether it's a field crop, whether it is floriculture, orchards, exotics, or aquaponics or hydroponics. Currently, we have launched the products in 12 states, and these products have been tested over 40 different crops. We either we go to the farmers by partnering with collaborators whom the growers trust, like Delta Agrogenetics or Finolex. We also develop the solutions or customize the solutions according to specific needs of the partners, wherein they help us take or connect to the farmers and help us scale the product. Since starting in 2016, we are now at a stage where we have a scalable and a sellable product and have achieved profitability. Today, we are looking at mass market adoption of the product and are looking out to collaborate and partner with corporates, NGOs, or FPOs so that we can reach the last mile marginal farmers as well. This is the team which has a diverse set of expertise, and that makes our dream work. We are BioPrime, and we are transforming agriculture one farmer at a time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Renuka. This is a very interesting presentation, and thank you so much for highlighting the impacts of the work that you are doing. I will be now opening this up for questions. At this point, I will be unmuting all the participants. I request you to please yourself. We have one.
Sharing my screen.
Rajesh Nair.
Sorry, Meghna, I can't hear you.
Yeah, hi, can you hear me now?
Yes.
What are critical factors for the success of the product?
Okay, the critical factors for the success of the product will be the correct time of application of the product. So we don't have one single product that addresses all the challenges. So we have a multiple of products, and figuring out what and where to apply the product in the crops is one of the most critical aspects for the success of the product. Second, even though we have products for different stages of the plant, it is not necessary, or the crop cycle, it is not necessary that the farmer has to be using the product right from the beginning stage. He can start at whatever stage he is and still be able to realize the benefits. Some of our products are very fast acting, which means that even if you apply them at the harvesting stage, he will be able to realize the benefits or increase in yield in the next picking itself.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Renuka. Another question, what are the climatic impacts interfering with this process?
Okay, so most of the crop losses that occur are due to fluctuating temperatures, and it is not just how high or how low it goes, but also how many peaks and how fast they come and go. if this coincides with the flowering or the fruiting of the plants, then we see flower drop or fruit drops into the plant. Therefore, these are some of the most critical factors that affect the plant. Also, the heat and the drought. I think I can hear an echo. Can you guys also hear an echo?
We can hear an echo. Could you just?
Okay, is this better?
Yes, it's better. Thank you.
Hello, is this better?
Yes, it's better.
Is this better, guys?
Yes, please continue.
All right. So other critical factor is a double stress of heat as well as water shortage. So that's one of the most critical reasons for crop losses, especially in India.
Got it. Thank you. We have another question, Chandrakant Kumhani. What is the cost of this input in terms of cost per acre per season?
Okay, so the cost can be as low as ₹1 per plant for 3 applications. So our products are extremely cost effective because they're required in small quantities. So remember, we use biomolecules which trigger different pathway. So we do not have to give a lot of them to the plant. A small quantity is required, which triggers processes, and that itself takes care of mitigating these changes in the plant. So extremely cost effective.
Thank you, Dr. Renuka. We have one more question. What is the business link to the FPOs, and is the and what is the profit margin being shared at the FPO level?
Okay, so one of our very first approach was to go to the FPOs directly, because as researchers, we were not really aware about the costing structure in the agri market, and we were quite shocked at the percentages that were needed to be transferred in the whole process. So we work directly with the FPOs, where we give them at a cost which is with a very small profit margin for ourselves. So the orders are throughout the FPO, so the products can be made available to them directly.
Hi, Meghna, do you have another question for Dr. Renuka?
Yes, can you hear me? Hello? Yes, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, Meghna.
Okay, great. Yeah. One more question. Is there a productivity improvement sensitive to the quantity of the product used? And is it easy to educate the farmers on this?
Yes, the productivity is linked to the amount that we are using. I can still hear an echo. Can you guys also hear an echo?
Yes, yes, Dr. Renuka. I think we probably the participant probably needs to be on mute.
I think that would help.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, that was so much better, Nitya. Thank you. So yes, for each of the product to be effective to its level that is desired, there's a certain quantity that needs to be applied to the plants. So there's a dosage that is decided, and the correct dosage has to be given to the plants. It is smaller for vegetables, and it's little bit higher for bigger crops like orchards or crops with higher densities like rice, wheat. So the dosage has to be correct. So yes, the productivity is sensitive to the quantity of the product used, but we do definitely give out schedules, help farmers understand when and how much to apply. So that is taken care of. Is it easy to educate the farmers on this? Yes and no. It is not very easy to talk to the farmers and tell them hypothetically what is to be done. So we follow a show and tell kind of a model. in wherever different markets that we are establishing ourselves, we pick up 5 crops that are most important to that region and put up at least 5 farms on each of these crops, wherein we organize open demos and open farm days for all people to come and see. We invite all FPOs, farmers, sarpanch, everybody to come see the farms, have a word with us, which is definitely helping us.
Thank you so much, Dr. Renuka. Nitya, could you please introduce Soil Sense and Dr. Raju, please? Thank you.
Sure. Thanks, Meghna. Thanks, Dr. Renuka, for that very informative presentation. We move to our second presentation, which is by Dr. Raju Patkar. She is the founder and CEO of Proximal Soil Sense. Soil Sense is transforming traditional farming methods to precision agriculture using indigenously developed and patented sensors and IoT platforms. Dr. Raju has done her MTech and PhD from IIT Bombay. She has more than 15 years of experience in the areas of reconfigurable computing, embedded systems, VLSI chip design, and biosensing. She has published her work extensively in the top international journals and conferences. She has won US and 3 Indian patents. Over to you, Dr. Raju.
Hi, thank you so much. Thank you, Water Resource Group and Unlimited India, for giving me this opportunity. So may I share my screen now?
Yes, please. Yes, Raju, you can start sharing the screen.
Yeah, just a minute. Yes, I'm sharing. So is it visible?
Yes, it is visible. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so if you think about agriculture, I think the 2 images primarily comes to our mind. One is technology-driven agriculture, where you see agriculture in countries like Israel, USA, Netherlands. Precision agriculture is what they actually practice. And this technology-driven agriculture and this practice can actually be seen in the productivity. So if you see our productivity in India when compared to other countries, we actually like quite behind compared to that. And it is very sad to know that India is actually the majority of labor is in agriculture. It's a very major occupation for us, but we still contribute only 14 to 50% to GDP. And if we think about agriculture in India, this is what comes to our mind. It's now in last couple of years, there are many startups are coming up and trying to bring that agriculture, some technology here. But more or less, majority of farmers are still not using that kind of technology, what is being used in Western countries. Still the fertilizers are used indiscriminately. When the water is available, they irrigate, but otherwise when there is no water, there is no other solution for them. Majority of farmers do not want their future generation to be in agriculture, and this is all seen because agriculture in India seems to be very sustainable. And this is because water is one of the important resource for agriculture. And if you see the water use efficiency in India is just 30 to 35%. And overuse of water not only increases the input cost to the farmer, but it actually makes soil useless over time. It contaminates the groundwater and then impacts the environment. So there are major problems. And one thing is very clear that research has also shown that data-driven agriculture can reduce input cost and make it sustainable. So and what is required for it to bring in technology, what a farmer needs. Like if you see, what he needs is basically a timely weather and field advisory. Now, even when Renuka was talking about it, they have to know about the temperatures, and once they know about how is the field, they can actually apply that kind of solutions. But what he needs, this farmer needs all this in a very affordable, simple and a single solution, because the technologies which exist, and it is not that the technologies are not there, but why is this technology still not being adopted in India? The problem is a small farmer in India or a farmer in India and a small farmer in USA are very different. We cannot actually generalize it. So the solutions have to be also generalized. The solutions can also not be generalized. We have to build solutions which are basically made for Indian farmers, because these are the technologies are quite, the imported technologies are quite expensive. And they also need different geographies, have different climate, and they need a different kind of advisory. So it also needs a calibration field specific calibration for these devices. So, and also our farmers actually need a lot of hand holding, a lot of support. So that's why at SoilSense, we actually are trying to bridge that gap. So we want to build these technologies at a very affordable cost and such that we can empower these farmers with an affordable, easy to use, hand holding agriculture. And we have been supported by Unlimited, BIRAC, Millennium, and a lot of other places. So this is, and we are incubated at one of this NABARD incubator. So if I talk about precision agriculture, this is the table. What you see on the left is a study from UC Davis. They said a precision agriculture can actually improve the income. And this is same thing we try to extrapolate for our Indian farmers. So we can see that precision agriculture can actually improve the productivity and improve the farmers' income. So having said that, this is what we actually started our mission by looking at this study. And then what we developed over last 2.5 years is that we actually deployed approximately 100 systems so far in different fields, different geographies, and in different crops. And we have shown improvement in yield by 20% and saving in water by 27%, which can be further improved, because here we actually took a very pessimistic approach, slowly talking to the farmers and going step by step. We have worked with various research institutes. We have actually worked with the World Bank project, where we actually studied the stress on the water stress on the crops. Apart from that, we also worked with the Indian Institute of Oilseeds Research, Coromandel, Mahindra, and we also worked with many farmers, and we could also a lot of NGOs, and where we could show that not only with this technology one can save water, but also one can actually predict the diseases in advance. So this is my team. My colleague Dr. Mangesh is also PhD from IIT Bombay, and we have started this company together. We have been advised by Professor Ram Gopal Rao and Professor Mariam, who are again professors at IITs. So what as a SoilSense we are doing is we are actually trying to convert this conventional traditional agriculture into precision agriculture by having these affordable sensors and IoT platforms. So these are the products which we have already developed and which are in the market. And you can see that all the technologies what we are developing is patented, and we are actually indigenously making it, made in India type. And the product which you see on SoilSense Station is a system with 4 multiple sensors: moisture, temperature, humidity, temperature. So you can actually track all this in real time and give advisories about irrigation, the early detection of diseases. And this is all available. So data goes to the cloud and farmer gets a mobile app. Similarly, we know 80% of the farmers in India are marginal farmers. So we have to build technology. So we have also built a portable moisture meter which can be shared among farmers. And again, it was going to give advisories through mobile app. We have also built a weather station and affordable, because for one thing, we realized that farmers also need, whether it's going to rain tomorrow or whether it's not going to rain. So he needs all these advisories in time and field specific advisories. So we have also developed an affordable weather station, and on our dash through a mobile app, we actually give a prediction of 7 days of weather. Apart from giving the current data, we also give predictions. We have also, and this all we did it little in a hard way. First, we thought that if we had to keep a technology cost at a minimum, we have to develop sensors. Sensors are heart of any system. So we actually developed our own sensors, and then we built a platform around it. This is our dashboard where you can see the forecast, you can see the sensor data, you can see what is the field, what are the nutrient levels, and all that you can see it on our dashboard. So how whole solution works? What you do is you select your product. You can actually talk to us. You can visit our website. We deliver, you install. And once you install and switch on the product, you start getting the advisory on a mobile app. What happens? The result is you reduce the input cost, you improve yield, and you improve the income. So as I said, we have all the technologies developed and patented. You can see we have already some technologies patented. We are also working on some of this portable pH meter and a nutrient meter, kind of a glucometer for soil. It will be a portable NPK meter which you can take to the soil and get an instant nutrient value of the soil. Our target users are farmer, but the way we want to approach, we actually want to reach the farmers through FPOs. So we are looking for partnership with FPOs, NGOs, cooperative and corporate farms. We are actually collaborating with various partners to reach farmers, because the technology has to reach farmers. We have to train farmers. We have to make sure that that hand-holding which I told is required. So that's why we are trying to collaborate with various partners. We are currently working in Maharashtra, Gujarat and Telangana. So our product is GSM based. So the network connectivity for the soil sense station is required. But having said that, many of these remote villages may not even have the GSM connectivity. So that's why our portable system doesn't need any GSM. So that's what we figure. We actually have a solution where there is no GSM connectivity. What I feel that collaboration of our project with a watershed project will actually help the farmer in a better way, in a sense that when actually he can store the water, store the water, and then actually he can have crop over the whole year. He can have multiple crops. Once he starts using the sensor-based precision agriculture, he can save water and he can have a multiple cropping. Our installation doesn't take much time, and we can actually involve self-help group, women, agripreneurs to create awareness about our different technologies. Now we know that many of these people who were actually working in cities, who have moved back to villages, can actually become our agripreneurs, can become our ambassadors to train farmers. We want to reach farmers, as I said, it's a B2B. We want to partner with the various channel partners and reach farmers. So it could be financial partners who are actually financing the farmers for the technology. It could be direct sales to some farmers. It could be through distributor channel. It could be through NGOs, FPOs also. We can actually reach the farmers. So these are various in different crops. We have done the field studies. In some places we show what is the how much stress a crop can take. In some cases we showed how much saving in water, the improvement in yield in different crops, in different soils. So these are some of the pictures of our various deployments at different places. You can see it can be installed in polyhouses, to open fields, to vegetables, to garden lawns, and everywhere. Apart from whatever the solutions I discussed, as I said, we are also working on NPK meter, the portable pH meter, and TDR meter. TDR meter is something which will be used for in-field calibration of moisture sensors. Now, moisture sensors can be from soil sense, moisture sensors can be from US, Israel, can be developed by anybody, but all these sensors will need calibration from time to time. The advantage of our sensors is that we have been using it, is that you don't really need calibration for a whole crop cycle. So far, our progress since July 2017, when we registered as a company, we have received funding of 81 lakhs as grants from BIRAC and Millennium. We have deployed 90 to 100 systems so far, and in last couple of months where we actually started focusing at commercialization, we have few paid customers, like 13 to 14 paid customers, which are from corporate to research institutes, FPOs, and individual farmers. In last couple of months, when we are stuck with COVID, we are actually trying to partner with the technology to farmers. And in last couple of months, we also launched our portable moisture meter with FPOs. And we are actually now, because of this COVID, we are still got a bit delayed. Otherwise, this technology would have been with farmers by now. So our solution is, as I said, we have patented, customized as per the customer need. We are doing all this at a very affordable cost. Sensor is developed by us, and we are having no dependency on third party. And systems is reliably working in the field from last 2.5 years. These are our testimonials from 3 different sectors, from a research, from a agricultural researcher, from a corporate farm, and from an individual farmer. Everybody finds soil sense to be our team to be very, very helpful and approachable. That is what is required in today's agriculture. And by this, I think I am at the end of my presentation, and I am open to questions. And once again, thank you, Water Resource Group, Unlimited India, and everybody else for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you so much. a wonderful presentation, and thank you for walking us through the various products and solutions that your organization has. So we'll take a few questions now. Before I start with the questions, request everyone to put your questions in chat. We will address a few of these on the chat right now. But if we do not address your question right now, we will make sure that we record it and we will communicate the answers to you separately. Yeah, Dr. Rajan, there's a question on, does the NPK data segregate between organic nutrient and added chemical fertilizer?
I'm sorry, I lost your voice.
Does the NPK meter segregate between organic nutrient and added chemical fertilizers?
No, it won't, because finally what a sensor looks at it as in the form of nitrate. So nitrate can be in any form. NO3 minus is what the ion it is looking. Now it can come in an organic or in a chemical way.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Rajan. So that question was from Mr. Utkarsh Kapoor. We have another question from Krishna Rautela. What is the sensor density for deployment, and what would be an approximate cost per acre for the farmer?
So right now we are suggesting, for example, we have two different solutions. One is a soil sense station, which is going to be in a stationary. So that solution is a one system per acre. So approximately 20 to 25,000 rupees at currently, but once the volumes increase, it can further come down. And portable moisture meter is just around 10,000 rupees, which can be shared among farmers. So let's say if you are taking a marginal farmer having an acre of land, then the cost is very, very little.
Thank you, Dr. Raju. We have a question from Mr. Ashok Kumar. So at installation at what level, that is either at the NGO level or watershed or the FPO level, at what level does the installation work best? And what is, and can you indicate a few areas in Maharashtra where you have deployed your solutions?
In Maharashtra, we have deployed in Nashik, Jalna, Aurangabad, near Pune, many other, a lot of places. So all this in Vidarbha region. So many places, these are the places we have deployed.
Thank you. There's another question from Mr. Raj Nair. So are you positioning SoilSense as a product company or more as a services or analytics company? And
we are, yeah, sorry.
Go ahead.
Anything, is there any addition to that question? Yeah. So
ahead.
No, we are not saying we're a product company. We want to provide. Yeah. Hello.
Please do continue, Dr. Raju.
Yeah. So we want to provide end-to-end solution. Right now we have built these products because for any solution you need this hardware, and we don't want. So we have built, but our vision is to provide end-to-end solution, keeping the cost low. Yes.
Thank you. The second part of the question was, can your AI or ML algorithms be used across various third-party IoT sensors as well?
Yes. It all depends on what kind of data. That needs little bit more discussion. I cannot really say yes or no immediately. But having just a continuation from my last answer, when I said we want to provide end-to-end solution, but I'm open to collaboration and partnership. So if there is anybody who is coming with a little of expertise, we can actually collaborate, because our sensors are actually collecting the field-specific data. It can be used and we can customize this data. So I'm open for partnership collaborations. That is what I want to bring in here.
Great, thank you, Dr. Raju. I think one final question. Are there a lot of women who you are supporting through training programs? And do you have any course for capacity building as well?
No, right now we are from this platform, I'm requesting to generate any AI ML algorithms, or for example, to train farmers. We need a kind of, we want to partner with people and like FPOs, and we want to train them so that they can take the technology. As a SoilSense, if I start doing everything myself, I may not be able to create that kind of impact. So for example, for training, I may want to partner with FPOs, and I can train some people in that FPO who can actually take this for training further to the farmers. So that's why I said it can be women group, it can be any other group, but I want to train them so that it's kind of a chain kind of a thing. I want to train some people so that they can take it further. We want to keep technology training so simple that once somebody learns it, they become agripreneur at the village level and can take this training further.
Absolutely.
And also for the data analytics and AI/ML algorithm, I have one more request here is that most of the models right now, what we are using is based on the literature, based on the data available on the public domain. So I would really be very, would like data from reliable institutes, or maybe if there are agricultural institutes having this kind of data, then it will make my algorithm much more accurate. And I can, because one of the example I'll tell you is in potato, whatever algorithm we use is based on some literature available. But if we have actual potato data from a potato research institute, and if we can actually collaborate with them, then this AI/ML models will become more accurate. So from this platform, I am requesting if there is a possibility of such kind of collaboration, I'll be very happy to collaborate.
Thank you, Dr. Rajul. And just maybe adding on to what you have just addressed now, what is the kind of support in addition to what you have just mentioned that you are looking for to strengthen the AI and the analytical portion of your solution?
So as I said, data is one part which is very, very important for the solutions. And I would need, if I can actually get a good amount of funding where I can deploy the system and collect the data in real time, that will actually make solutions, because we have actually proved that these systems can be deployed across various crops and soils. Now, if I can deploy these systems across different crops and soils and collect the real-time data, that will actually make the model more accurate, and it will really help the farmer in long run.
Thank you, Dr. Raju. So I think before we thank you very much for your presentation. There are a couple of more questions, but we will connect with you offline and ensure that all our participants get responses to those questions as well. Before we have one more presentation, but before we move on to that, we have a very quick polling feature that we will be turning on now. So there are just 4 questions in the poll on how we can improve. Could you please begin the poll? First question is, would you like 2030 WRG to support your efforts in agri-water use efficiency and productivity? So, request you to please, it's a very quick poll. Your responses will help us improve as we go forward. Thank you. Thank you for your responses. We have around 40 people who have responded so far. So we request you all, encourage you to please take this so we can work better going ahead. Thank you. So we're just keeping this poll. Hello, can you all hear me? Yeah. We're just keeping this question open for a couple of more seconds, and then we will move to the next one. Thank you. So we're moving. We just have 3 more questions. Just the next question is, how would you like to engage with the 2030 water? Kavita, could I please request you to open the second poll?
Yeah.
So the poll should be showing up in your chat window on the right side of your screen. These are all multiple choice questions where you can choose more than one answer. Thank you for your responses. We're seeing responses coming in as we speak. Thank you for your responses. We're moving to the next question. So a little about this webinar. So what did you like most about this webinar? Again, these are multiple choices where you can select more than one. Thank you all for taking the time to do this poll for us. We definitely appreciate your patience. Thank you. And we just have one final question. What would you like us to improve in the future webinars? Whether it's the frequency or the duration or in terms of time for the question and answers. So request you to please give us your responses. Right after this, we will be moving to the third presentation. Thank you all for your responses. Nitya, I request you to please come in and introduce Ms. Saigoli. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks, Meghna. Also, thanks, Dr. Raju, for that wonderful presentation and your aspiration to build an affordable but world-class product. So, great going. We head to our last presenter, Ms. Sai Gole. Sai is the co-founder and COO of Bharat Agri, which has developed a unique algorithm that provides data-driven advisory to farmers. The advisory is personalized to farmers' crop, soil, climate, and region. Sai has done a dual degree course in engineering design from IIT Madras. She has been featured in the prestigious Forbes magazine's 30 Under 30. She has a mission of bridging the gap between technology and agriculture in India. Over to you, Sai. Sai, can you hear me?
Hello everyone. Thank you WRG and Amritsar for giving this chance to present in such a established forum. So I am Sai Gole. I'm founder of me and my co-founder studying in IIT Madras. We realized that there is a huge gap in the sector of agriculture where majority of the population is working, creating lot of impact, food security. They are solving problem of food security, but there is a gap in technology implementation of that. That's when we decided, why don't we come in and try our with our knowledge, try something to get the digitization in agriculture. And that's how we came up with our mission of empowering every farmer and digitizing every farm. We started Bharat Agri with a motto of growing efficient and growing more for farmers. We and our data science, after working with farmers for last 5 years, we understand their requirements, and we feel that every farmer deserves a chance for a successful future with technology. So, like other fellow presenters also mentioned, there is a huge problem with productivity in India. It's 1/3, and in many cases 1/4 with respect to other developed countries. And the other problem which we feel is there is a poor connect with the value chain, which finally closes the loop of a farmer, right from production to getting it to a market and realizing the value of the production which a farmer is getting. So we took this problem and we developed this solution.
Sai, I'm sorry to interrupt, but your voice is breaking. Could you please turn off your video?
Yes.
Thank you.
Is it better now? Hello? Hello?
Yes, it's better. Thank you. Yes, it's better. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Meghna. Yeah, so in 2017, we started Bharat Agri, where we decided that our approach will be to provide a constant and continuous handholding to farmers for better productivity and planned approach in farming. And at the same time, we will also connect them with required value chain partners to close the loop of their full farming activities. So at Bharat Agri, we have personalized 36 different parameters from soil, water, weather, and economic parameters. We take these parameters from every farmer who is attached on our platform, and we provide them solution with respect to nutrient management, pest disease management, irrigation management, and finance management. Currently, we have more than 150,000 farmers who are associated with Bharat Agri. Majority of these farmers are in Maharashtra. Our farmers see near 60% increase in their productivity by adopting this optimized way of production, and we reduce the cost of production by at least 10 to 20%. We validate, so our algorithm is validated. We have a lot of research collaborations. Majorly, we work with ICRISAT for our technology development. We also have grant from BIRAC and DST for our development of some good development of our algorithm. And our continuous trials are going on with ICAR. Some of the trials we have seen more than 133% productivity with respect to state university practices and 38% increase with respect to national university practices. So this solution is digital, where farmers can get access to us. We provide them personalized crop calendar based on the 36 parameters, like I mentioned, from soil, water, weather, and economic parameters. They get unlimited expert guidance over chat, call, WhatsApp, and recently we have also started video calls at farm for the farmers. We have a unique solution of weather-based dynamic advisory. All of you are from agriculture and related industry. You know there are more than 50 different applications available which provide weather parameters to farmers. But what we realize is a farmer is not able to interpret those parameters for his farm, for his crop, for his particular variety. And there are more such parameters where there has to be a dynamic advisory which has to be provided to the farmers. So we provide our funding from DST and validated also. Then we have a lot of engaging content for farmers like Agri News, Smart Tips. Recently, we have started, like during the COVID time, we have started live video webinars for farmers, making sure that they have a platform to interact with some of the best agriculture experts in India. So this is how pre-COVID time a farmer used to engage with us. They could connect with us directly through mobile, or we have across Maharashtra. These were typically retailers through which farmers can get onboarded. Using these channel partners in the Rabi season, Rabi 2019 season, we had onboarded more than 32,000 farmers for our paid subscription, paid premium subscription. In last 2 months, we have undergone a lot of changes. We realized only work with channel partners because considering the social distancing norms and lockdown restrictions, we have gone all digital. Currently, farmers can get onboarded to us not only through mobile application, but just by calling on our number. We collect all the data, all the required data, which is the critical thing for our algorithm by assisting them on call. Not only that, we have also done a major change in last 2 months where we are connecting them with all the industry partners which are possible. Earlier also we used to connecting farmers for industry partners, but that was majorly in farm to marketplace where we used to work with organized players and connect farmers to farm to market. But in last 2 months, we have developed our full multi-tenant platform where a farmer can get advisory at the same time he can get other allied solutions. Lot of features of which I told just now are free features for the farmers. Any farmer can download the application or call at our free call center and they can get services free of charge. For premium farmers, they need to pay as less as 600 rupees for 6 months, goes up to maximum up to 1400 rupees per year. For the premium features, this premium features include majorly the personalization, which in turn gives the optimized costing of the land and economic benefits for the farmer. At the same time, these premium farmers, we connect them with organized players in farm to market. We make sure that they have a right financing channel available, and we also help them in different connecting them with different insurance partners. One thing, so we started in 2017, and one of our very early realization was agriculture is so vast, and government is a major enabler of agriculture, especially in Maharashtra. So we tried hard to connect with government, and currently we are having a very good collaborations going on. We are working for Pokra project in one of the district in Maharashtra. We are also part of the so Pokra project is basically in providing climate resilient agriculture services where we worked in 2019-20 and we are now working for 2021 cycle also. In this project, one of our major contribution was we worked for 79 villages where we could do the cost optimization by 36% by using the technology and disseminating the information in a much more systematic manner. We are also part of the SMART project, which is taxes for farmers. We work on a turmeric commodity majorly here. And in last 2 months,
We're not able to hear you. Sai? Hi, Sai, could you please come in? We're not able to hear you too well. Sai?
Screen is
It seems to be a bad day for various connectivity across the state. But we'll just wait for a couple of minutes and for a couple of seconds for her to join back in. I'm just going to patch Ms. Saigole and just. Yes. Yeah, Ms. Saigole is on the line, so we've tried patching her in through the audio line. Now, Ms. Sai, please continue.
Okay, sorry, I was not sure when
Sure. You were referring to the key clients that you have in Maharashtra.
Okay, so basically, we work clients where we are in Maharashtra 2019-20, and we are now also working for 2020-21. We are working for one particular district in central Maharashtra where we could optimize the cost of the information dissemination cost by more than 36%. Other than that, we are also part of smart projects where the smart project in Maharashtra, which is specifically for connecting, which is specifically for market access plans for farmers and FPOs. We are part of MAVIM, which is Mahila Arthik Vikas Mahamandal, and we are currently providing solutions to more than 5,000 women farmers, specific to making sure that they are able to do farming with economic viability. We are also, with respect to industry partner side, we are working with some of the very big organized players like Kolam and Tata Chemicals. Other than that, we have a lot of small players. We connect farmers for realizing a better market price. Currently, overall, we are associated with 150,000 farmers across Maharashtra. With respect to COVID, we made sure that the farmers who were in distress right from March, with respect to their production, with respect to their market access, we made sure that the farmers are able to get those solutions to us, and we changed our solution for that in last 2 months. We ran a huge harvesting campaign by farmers for farmers, where though we are not into providing a market access solution for perishables, our focus overall has been non-perishables. But in last 2 months, we have connected more than 30,000 farmers. 30,000 fresh produce and perishable produce farmers with right channel partners, so that they don't face losses in COVID. Other than that, we have taken a lot of small initiatives like providing a online farm school for farmers, providing video calling features with our agronomists, so that farmers still are able to get solutions to their all the problems. about Bharat Agri. Please let us know if any way we can collaborate or work with you. I'm really sorry for the glitch which happened. I was not aware how I got disconnected.
No worries. I think thank you very much for the presentation. We have a couple of questions coming in. So, Mr. Ashok Kumar wants to know, is it possible to arrange such services in a new location during this COVID period?
Yes, yes. So that has been our major work for last 2 months. We made sure that our platform is compatible. We can provide solutions pan India right now. We do a digital onboarding to farmers, and at times we do take help of some of the local partners. But we have done a lot of efficiency improvement where we can digitally onboard and make sure solutions can be provided pan India.
We have another question from Mr. Mukinath Jha. So, majority of our farmers are marginal and do not have access to technology or even education. So, how can we reach them? And because without reaching them, it's very tough to digitize this space.
Yes. So now also, we have 30% of our farmers who don't own a smartphone. They might be owning feature phone or even offline method, something like they get access to a print solution. So if a farmer doesn't have access to a smartphone, we have compatibility of providing the solution in with a feature phone mechanism also. With respect to literacy side, we have a very optimized IVR method in which farmer gets all the advisory in a IVRS automated call, and that also we have efficiently. We have the full system for 5 different languages: Marathi, Kannada, Telugu, Hindi, and English. So with respect to literacy, we can provide the IVRS solution. With respect to non-availability of smartphone, there is IVRS plus SMS solution. With respect to discovery of the this particular platform, there we thought connecting with governments and partners for reaching out to them is a very easy, very best way of connecting. Also, that was a reason we also mobilized through local channel partners, where we made sure that local shops, local retailers, not only with respect to agriculture, but it can be a grocery shop in rural area, or it can be a recharge shop in rural area. There we made sure our solution was available, at least in Maharashtra, and that gave us a really good reach. After COVID, after this lockdown and restrictions are over, we will get back to that mood of connecting with farmers again.
Thank you. We have another question from Mr. Rajesh Nair. So, is Bharat Agri an information or data aggregator and presenter, or do you also have your own algorithms that you use for advisory?
Yes, so our algorithms are our own, and that is the IP which we own. So it's not only information dissemination, but the advisory platform also. The algorithm research is something which we have been doing it since 2015. And to be frank, the information dissemination part started only in 2019, because we had to do multiple research trials. We had to make sure that all the possible parameters are taken care and are well researched. Majorly, we do our research at ICRISAT's facility in Hyderabad, and we have for last 3 years we have continuous research trials going on.
One final question. So, how are you connecting the farmers to the market, and what are the specific challenges that you are facing right now during COVID?
Yes. So, like I told, we have our own full-fledged supply chain capability for non-perishables. Before the COVID situation, we were working only for one commodity. But after COVID, we expanded it to major commodities of where we were operational, which were pulses, and we could easily adopt to that, because the supply chain capabilities we need not to expand for that. But when it comes to perishables, we face a lot of problems, because our farmers were facing a lot of problems. We had never promised any market connect to our once everything gets back, we will again focus on non-perishable, and probably in a couple of years, we will have our own system for getting to perishables.
Thank you so much, Sai, and thank you for also highlighting the challenges that you're currently facing due to COVID-19. Great, thank you very much. So, Kavita, can I please request you to come in now?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Meghna, and thank you everyone for joining us today. Before we close, I just wanted to request Mr. KP Bakshi. He is the chairman of MWRRA and has been supporting the work of 2030 WRG in Maharashtra and nationally. I would really request Mr. Bakshi, before we finally close and invite you for our next session. Mr. Bakshi, can we invite you over?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Shall I put on the video or?
Whatever you are comfortable with, sir.
I'm okay.
Absolutely. So we'd love to see you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Good evening, all the panelists and participants. Let me first thank 2030 Water Resources Group, Maharashtra, which has organized this webinar. And I must say that the timing is very, very perfect, because this is the time when people are wondering as to how the economy will recover. There have been estimates. I was reading yesterday that some of the CEOs, very important CEOs in the country, about 35% of the CEOs said that this recovery, economic recovery, will take place after about 12 months to 13 months. But some also said that no, it will recover as fast as 3 months. So the estimates are varying from 3 months to 13 or 14 months. In between, there are various percentages. So that means there is no clear-cut picture today as to what is going to happen to the economy. So when such a dicey situation is there, I think 2030 has done excellent work by bringing all these startups together today, and we have had a very good presentation from all of them. The figures about Maharashtra, economic figures for our economy about Maharashtra. Let me tell you, I'm giving you some old figures because I don't have the latest, but Maharashtra contributes about 14 to 15% to the national GDP. So if it is approximately, Prime Minister has been saying 10% of the national GDP is coming in the 20 lakh crore package. So approximately, let's say 2 crore. So Maharashtra will be touching approximately 30 lakh crore per year. And this is what the state GDP is going to be, approximately. Figures vary a little bit. If you break it down to 3 parts, that is the GDP coming from the industry sector, and the state GDP coming from the services sector, and also from the agriculture sector. Then it is very simple to remember, 60% in Maharashtra comes from the services sector. 30%, approximately 30-31% comes from the industry. And just about 10 to 11% comes from the agriculture. If you take 10 to 11% of Maharashtra's GDP, it comes to approximately 3 lakh crore per year. And that is equal to 2/3 of the state's government budget. Government budget will be something like 5 lakh crore, and 3 lakh crore is the contribution coming from agriculture. In this background, even if you make a small change, which is going to result into higher productivity, better market access, and good disposal of all the produce, it is going to make a big change for the entire country. So I must congratulate all the presenters who have selected Maharashtra as a very important state. I must congratulate you because you have selected the right state where the industry is prominently available, it's present, and agricultural GDP is also very important for the entire country. Coming to the water and saving of water and agriculture relation, let me tell you that water saving per se is not a subject of the farmer. Unfortunate, but it is like that. However, where water is very limited, There are two types of availability of water. One, where water is given on a regular basis because they have plenty of water in that area, and most of the farmers go for flooding method of irrigation. They do not care for water saving. It is not the issue of the farmer to save water. Had it been very expensive, then certainly they would have tried to save some water. Unfortunately, even the expense part of on water is very, very low in Maharashtra. A regulator is working. Regulator has tried to do something in the last 3-4 years, even earlier. And there is a mindset in the regulatory authority that water must cost much more so that people start valuing it. Now comes the politics. If you increase the water cost for agriculture, let's say, then you are going to annoy a large section of the society. If you increase the water cost in the municipal areas, urban areas, then you are going to annoy the urban local people who are very, very vocal. They have strength. They can reach the government. They are articulate. So that is also a very, very vulnerable section. To increase the water for industry, it is already very, very high. In fact, industrial water is giving about 61% of water revenue in Maharashtra, whereas other sectors are giving much less. So there is no scope for increasing the water charges for industrial sector. There is a scope to reduce the water charges. So once you reduce the water charges of industrial sector, where does it go? It has to be passed on to the urban sector and the farmers. So even if you take some portion of the cost which should be attached to the farmers, then also it is not going to become very, very expensive for him. And I come back to my point that wherever water is limited, when I say limited, it means he is drawing water from his own dug well, or he is drawing water from his borewell, or he has made a small storage near his farm or in the farm where he brings in water from the canal and stores it for his use during the dry spells. Only these farmers are concerned about saving water, not because of the cost of water, but because of the quantity of water. Therefore, all these participants and all the presenters, they must keep in mind that if you start targeting all farmers, you are going to spend a lot of energy and the results will be not that satisfactory. So you have to target only those farmers for whom water is available in limited quantity. Let's say Pokhara villages. Let's say the areas where farmers are there. Nashik, Sangli, where farmers are very progressive. They know the importance of water, and it will not be. They will not compare themselves with Nagpur or let's say Amravati or some other places where water value system or the value for water is much different. Therefore, first of all, you must target those farmers or those areas where water is being valued, even at the present cost. Present cost itself is very low, but there are people who value water, so you target those people. Once you target those people, then your success rate will be much better and demonstration effect will be much better. Otherwise, you'll be spending a lot of energy, and in case they don't show up the results, then you yourself will get disappointed, and maybe the startups will have to be rolled back. I'm giving you figures of about 5 years back when I was in planning department as Chief Secretary Planning. At that time, the figures used to come from the State Innovation Council as well as the National Innovation Council, that 3% of the startups at that time succeed finally and hit the economy and remain in the economy. Remaining 97% of the startups went up to a certain stage and could not sustain because of various problems, because of funding problem, marketing problem, subsidy issues, competition, idea not being accepted by the farmers. Therefore, startups have to make sure that you target only that segment which will give you positive result. If you get positive result, you are able to demonstrate and you are able to influence a larger section of the society to go in for the product. Let's come to the three presentations. I take Soilsen first. Dr. Patkar made a very good presentation about the sensing techniques of moisture in the field. As I said, those who have got limited water in their field, they can increase their production if they have more land by saving water and by using all the techniques of moisture sensing, forecasting, and also the requirement of the crop itself. Therefore, if you take a place like Nashik, where grapes are grown in huge quantities and they are exported also. So there, if you are able to save water, and if you are able to impress upon the farmer that you save water, and in this saving only, instead of 4 acres, you can take 6 acres of grapes. If that point goes through, then you will succeed very easily. The average farmer, I'm talking about the average farmer in India, not the progressive farmer, and not those who are just not concerned or they don't do much. I'm talking about the average farmer, the middle bracket. The average farmer is having 3 areas where he is dependent on these 3 major areas for his livelihood. First, the itself. As you know, climate change is making it very difficult to predict, even for the agencies. They find it difficult to predict as to how much of rainfall, at what time, what frequency, what quantity, what is the dry spell. All these things, if you not able to guess, then the farmer is not able to plan properly. Today, now it is May. In May, if you're not able to understand as to when is the first rain going to take place, then how do you buy the seeds? How do you decide as to what crop you will be sowing? Therefore, on the one hand, you have weather changes, erratic, uncontrolled, unpredictable. Major challenge for the farmers is this. Second is man-made, or let's say we have not attended to it. That is the market. If the market itself is unpredictable, and there is more, it is more so in case of perishable products and fruits and vegetables and all that, that in case the market is not predictable, then again, he does not know whether to store or to sell. And if he sells, then at what rate? This is one unpredictable area where government and startups can do a lot by providing storage systems, preservations, and market predictability because of the estimates that you have collected from the field regarding actual amount of production and actual requirement month-wise. Maybe some products are required on a constant basis, but there are other products which are required month-wise. Let's say vegetables. It will have a different variation month-wise. So if technology can be brought in there and market prediction can be done, then the second problem to a great extent can be taken care of. Coming to the third side, that is fully under his control. That is his own labor, his own understanding, his experience, and his willingness to do work. That is completely under his control. And in most of the cases, an average farmer is ready to do it. So let me re-mention it. Market, is it correctable? Yes. With technology, it is correctable and reduce the imperfectness or unpredictability of the market. Very difficult, uncontrolled. At least I am not aware of any technology where we can assure that water will come at a proper speed. But then what is possible? What is possible is that stored water, if that stored water can be given during the dry spells without any delay, then the crop is there and the production will be proper. If you delay the supply of water during the dry spell, then the crop is. So these 3 very important areas are there for the farmers, and that is why he finds himself in a very tight situation. So Soilsen, your items that you presented are very, very impressive, and I must say, I must congratulate Dr. Patkar that it's a very good one, portable moisture meters which can be used by many farmers. But the problem that you are going to face is how to change the mindset of the farmer. As I told you, average farmer is quite happy if he is able to make his entire family's livelihood for a entire year plus some surplus. He is not very, very ambitious, unlike the progressive farmer. He is not very ambitious. So changing his mindset that take this equipment and you will be able to do production. It's a tough job, and you have to do with various kinds of people in the rural areas, in the farming area, and therefore the toughest job for Soilsen will be changing the mindset and pushing through your products so that they make use of it. Coming to the second presentation, that is the first one was Bioprime, Dr. Renuka Karandikar. Again, as I said, one of the most difficult jobs is to inculcate a habit being alert. You have given all the equipment, you have predicted, and you are also suggesting what pesticide should be given, what time it should be given, if you give at this time, or what nutrients can be given. If you give at this time, the production will go up by 5%. All that is fine. But so much of alertness on the part of the farmer, is it possible? And if it is possible, then you have to make sure that that alertness improves and he makes use of the. So the toughest job, in my understanding, is that of Bioprime, where you are suggesting that this kind of input will increase the production. And at this time, if it is given, then the production is either saved or it is increased. So that awareness drive you have to do along with your technology development in the technology sector. Coming to the third one, that is Bharti Agri. I find it's a very, very practical type of approach, where quality inputs, farming advisories, and reduction of production cost. Ms. Sai Gole, she said that she has developed all this, and these are very, very purchasable items, in the sense, not purchasable, not in the sense of giving money and bringing. People will easily fall for it. If you are able to say that 20% cost reduction will take place, if you take these advisories, get in touch with us, and we keep feeding you, and quality inputs are assured to you, financing techniques are told to you, then it goes very easily. And therefore, I think the third company, that is Bharat Agri, has one of the perhaps the easiest job to go ahead and make the product successful. So to wrap up, I think Kavita, it has been a very, very good learning experience. As you know that I am no longer with the authority, at least for the time. I don't know what is going to happen in the future, but I am very much
rooting for you to come back, sir. So yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. But right now, this field of agriculture has really evoked so much of interest in me. Being a water regulator, we thought that's only water you have to worry. No, it is not. Water is only the this thing that you have to supply to the farmer. What is ultimate for the farmer, whether he is able to make more money from his limited farm, limited water, and all his experience. That ultimate, and that is where you are now concentrating. I remember about a week back when we had another webinar, I touched upon this item that you should work on the agri sector as well as in marketing. And you have really taken up the agri-tech in a big way. The presentations made in the last week were also very, very interesting. In fact, I noted their numbers also. And I'll be requesting somebody to take those products and demonstrate to the people. Today's presentations also have been very, very nice, very nicely selected. And I must congratulate all of them, that they have done excellent work, very, very hopeful. It brings in so much of positivity as well as, optimism that I feel very, very accomplished today. Thank you so much. And thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your detailed startup-wise feedback and for your encouraging words. And I think we couldn't agree with you more that water tariff reforms is a huge agenda as we recognize the need for moving from pricing water to valuing water and to culture for water. And I think these mentions are so critical. So thank you very much for your encouraging words. And from all of us at 2030 WRG, thank you for your patience and your participation. And we look forward to your continued participation in our forthcoming sessions. as we collectively work on newer and newer ways to build resilience and support our farming communities in these challenging times. Please spread the word. I think there is a slide that Meghna has put up on tagging these social media handles and hashtags. Please make a note of them and please do spread the word. I think it's important we work collectively more than ever before. So thank you very much, everyone. Have a good evening and see you all very soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Good night.
Good night. Thank you, sir.